Nvidia's brand new high-end GPUs are completely screwed. AMD says they won't make the same mistake, and don't worry, Nvidia is also messing up their lower-end GPUs. Let's get into the hot news, everybody. I'm your Brett host. We're going to be going over the hottest tech news I can find on the internet while you enjoy your breakfast. And just a reminder, this is your last opportunity to participate in the Cannonball for the Cure 2022 charity livestream. As this hot news goes live, we will be making our last-ditch effort to get back home and our last-ditch fundraising efforts in order to make all of this happen. And as you can see, horrible things have happened to me with my hair. My wife shaved off my hair at $50,000, and now I look like this. At one point, she put a face on the back. Catlin showed them that picture. Yeah, not pleasant. Anyways, potentially by the time you watch, I might have lost my eyebrows because that's happening at 150,000. But I just want to remind you of some of the amazing things that are happening for the Cannonball for the Cure charity stream. We have a ton of giveaways that are going on at the moment, thanks to a lot of the amazing partners that we have for the event: Rarebase, SynGap Research Fund, Intel, LTTstore.com, NZXT, Basia, Speedify, Gigabyte, Crucial, Silverstone, J+, Corsair, Vessi, .tech Domains, Height, and JSO. We could not have pulled off this event without them. And you could just look at this list of giveaway prizes that we have, totaling over $20,000 in tech prizes. You can see that we have a high-end gaming setup from NZXT with a 7900X and RTX 4090, a Canvas 27Q monitor with stand, a mini TKL function keyboard, and a lift mouse. It's absolutely insane. You throw in an RTX 4090, other PCs like you'd see right here. Come watch the charity stream. You watching is all you need in order to enter into these giveaways, although we would appreciate you donating to the charity. We made it no purchase necessary in case that's what you want. But I know what you really want, and that's the hot news. So let's go over the hottest piece of tech news that's out there all over the place, which is Nvidia's RTX 4090 16-pin power connector, which is just absolutely melting GPUs. Now, so far, it's not that horrendous as far as anecdotal reports that are out there. You can see right here, that's a pretty bad picture, but according to what we're seeing out on the internet, there's only 2 reports of GPUs doing this, which includes a Gigabyte GPU as well as an Asus RTX 4090 Tough Gaming OC, which just happens to be the one that we're giving away for the Cannonball for the Cure charity stream. Fantastic stuff, but we'll talk about why this is happening, how to prevent it, and maybe whether or not Nvidia should have maybe seen this coming, especially because in previous episodes of Hot News, we talked about the fact that Nvidia knew this was a problem, and they came out with special reports previously being like, you don't need to worry about your power supply connections for the 40 series. It's all going to be fine. And then look at us. Here we are reporting about things melting. Nvidia is saying, however, we're investigating the reports. We are in contact with the first owner and we'll be reaching out to the other for additional information. So now the speculation coming in on this is that the fact that this is a 16-pin connector, it is very small to deliver up to 600 watts of power. If you were trying to deliver that much power with the previous PCI Express connectors, they were a lot beefier, had thicker wires, and could potentially handle the load a little bit better. But what we're encountering here is that when there's any sort of pressure on the actual connector that shouldn't be there, it can potentially cause melting issues. So this is the Gigabyte GPU that melted, and you can kind of see here there is bending that's happening to the wires, which are causing issues with the GPU melting. However, the reports are this is not a big deal of a bend. Like if you look at that picture, that's a normal power connector setup. There is nothing horribly wrong with that. Every other power connector could handle this. It's just the new one that's screwing it up. So that's obviously a problem, and that's what the Redditor said when he posted the pictures of the melting power connector onto the internet. And CableMod is coming out with 90-degree actual setups that you could have for this and showing you how you should actually handle it. Do not bend it vertically, do not bend it horizontally, but bend starting at 35 millimeters from the connector. So bending it close to here is causing bad connections to happen when it actually gets inserted into the GPU, which is really the issue when it comes to the power getting delivered and melting and everything getting hot, because that's what causes things to melt, things warming up. You know that, Kyler. It's climate change.
Like the melting?
Were you going somewhere with that?
No, that was it.
Okay, it is melting. Good gravy. You can see right here the 4090 Tough OC, the melting isn't quite as bad. You can kind of see it on this corner connector, but it does seem to be posing a problem for Nvidia's flagship GPUs at this point, something that shouldn't be happening with a graphics card that's costing upwards of $1,800. Not good. Let me know what you think of the RTX 4090 melting things. There's no report on whether or not this is going to be the connector that they're going to use on all of their GPUs down the lineup. We're expecting it to be on the 4080 16 gig, but whether or not it makes its way into something like a 4060, potentially, they might change the mind, but we'll talk about that in a second. Another issue NVIDIA is seeming to have with their RTX 4090 is that they're not going to be able to make enough of them. There are reports coming out that they're going to have to shift their production with TSMC from the RTX 4090 consumer-facing card over to the H100 compute card. This is due to a couple of things that we've talked about in previous episodes of Hot News, which is the US implementing new restrictions on how much NVIDIA can produce their GPUs and other products in China, and it's coming down to the fact that they cannot produce flagship parts there. So they're shifting that production over to TSMC, which means they're going to have to take some fab space away from the RTX 4090 and make it so that it's going towards the regular data center GPU, not the ones that us gamers get to use. Cry for me, Kyler. But you don't have to cry, Kyler. It's going to be okay with AMD because they're not actually going to be using the 16-pin power connectors on their Radeon 7000 GPUs. They have confirmed this, that it is not going to be happening. Team Red confirming that to Kyle Bennett, that they're not touching this. This is actually a problem. It's not going to be on their GPUs. Also indicating that this is not going to be found on any of the AIB partners as well. AMD recognizing, allowing NVIDIA to be the guinea pig on a piece of product technology that wasn't actually going to work in the first place, and then laughing in their demise because they're going to be able to sell their high-end GPUs, like the Radeon RX 7900 XTX that we talked about in yesterday's episode of Hot News that we got right up there. I'm really tired. I've been streaming for over 105 hours so far. It's been a lot. And I'm going to munch right on into Cryptostonks. Bitcoin having a surgeon of a day, up 4.19%. That's almost 4.2 to be at 21,151. The Ethereum going up 9%. Look at that. Look at it. Look at that spike. It's up to 1470, and Dogecoin spiking as well, up 5%. It's almost like they all do the same thing every single time, and they don't need to be individually addressed. That's a possibility, but I need to individually address you, Reece. Look at me, buddy. Give me the deals. You know what I want from you. You know how much I want it.
Ukana Chums, welcome back to UFD Deals. We're bringing the hottest tech deals out on the internet. Hope you guys are having a great day. We've got some great deals for you, starting with the Deepcool Castle 240R, an AIO liquid CPU cooler going for only $58.49, which is 27% off. And next up, we have the 2021 Apple iPad Mini. The 64 gig Wi-Fi version is currently going for only $399, which is 20% off or a whole $100 off. And don't forget, you can find these deals and more linked in the video description, and I hope to see you guys for the rest of the Cannibal stream. Cheers.
Thank you, Reece. That was great. What was great was us talking about the Ryzen 7 7700 in yesterday's episode of Hot News, that it was kind of being put out there that it's coming out. Well, now we have some benchmark scores coming out from Geekbench showing that the 7700 could potentially boost up to 5.3 gigahertz with 8 cores, 16 threads, and we see the Geekbench 5 score right here, which is slightly slower than the 7600X in single core, but it beats the multi-core by 13%, making it that it's actually a better multi-core setup. However, unless the pricing on this, again, is like $300, there's no way they sell this over the 5800X3. It just doesn't make any sense for AMD to have this, but they're going to produce it anyways. But what does make sense for AMD to do is to come out with CXL technology to consumer-facing products, and that's exactly what they said that they're going to do in the Meet the Experts event that they had recently, which, in case you're not familiar, CXL is a connection technology that's going to allow you to merge a few things together, like Intel kind of had with Optane, so like using storage in a way that can be accessed similarly to DRAM, making it so that you could have a lot of expandability in that department and make it quicker to access. So CXL has wide support. It's an open setup, which is kind of how AMD typically does things with FreeSync, as well as all of the other things that they support like FSR. And that's exactly what they said in this call, saying, we haven't announced anything in this area, but I can say that there is progress being made. And again, there will be another ecosystem type project where it's not going to be Phison and not just AMD putting this together. We're all going to have to work together to do this. And these collaborations have really advanced PCs over the last few years. So we can potentially expect to see an industry shifting piece of technology that NVIDIA will then proprietarize and then charge you extra money for, and then be like, haha, we invented it, it's ours, take it. A little salty today. Well, there's a good reason to be salty against NVIDIA, because they're going to try to sell you the RTX 30 series even more. You want more of it? Okay, because they're going to stuff it down your throats. They have an oversupply. And so there's coming out with an RTX 3060, but it's not a real one because it's got 8 gigabytes of VRAM. It seems like it's the same in every other regard, except for the memory bandwidth is cut down by 33%. to be on only a 128-bit memory interface, which is not as good as the 12 gig version or the 6 gig version that potentially came out. The RTX 3060 8 gig is going to be just a worse version of something that already exists, and then they're also coming out with the 3060 Ti GDDR6X version. So like, Nvidia's really trying to get you to buy these things. Why aren't you buying the 3060s? Why didn't you buy a 3060?
Because I found a 3070 for sale.
Well, you're the reason that you can't have a 4060.
I don't want one.
Well, you want Nvidia to go bankrupt, don't you? Don't forget that we're still live with the Cannonball for the Cure charity stream. We really appreciate all the support that we've received so far. We've had over 900 donations come in. It's been a big deal for the community to rally around my family yet again, and making it so that we can have a hope and a future for my son's rare genetic disorder that honestly, that is always going on in the background of hot news. It's always going on in the background of everything we make at UFD Tech. And my son is having 100+ seizures a day, has a lot of problems. And the fact that the tech community is coming together to potentially make a huge dent in changing that for the future means a lot. And we also have tons of giveaways. Come join us for the last few hours. I'll see you live.